What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? I'm gonna kind of just give it maybe a couple minutes before I start on the chapter, but what's up, man? What's up? God, man, it's T-Bait. T-Bait day today. Um, it's been a bit of a rough day for today, but hopefully we get a good chapter for T-Bait today. And it can uplift my spirits, but if you're joining in to the stream, I guess just let me know, what did y'all think about the chapter? What did y'all think about chapter? It's chapter 446. A cage opened, so what exactly does that mean? A cage being opened. Does it mean that we're unlocking some new ability? Also, let me know if you can hear me okay. You should be able to hear me okay, though. I always ask just in case, but I'm guessing if you couldn't hear me, you'd probably just let me know. But a cage open, so is that like a new ability that we're unlocking? Is this, what else could be a cage opened? Maybe somebody new shows up. Maybe they was locked up and they get free. Maybe I'm trying to think. Cage opened. The only thing I can think of really is that this is some insight, some new insight into something. Something happened. We got some new insight, and that's the cage that's open, right? It was locked up. You didn't know at first, and then now it's opened, and so now we got some new information or something. I'm not really sure, but I don't know anything about the chapter. I have no idea who we're even starting off with the point of view, but hopefully it's a good chapter, because the last few chapters have been kind of meh. It's been alright. It's been alright. Some setup chapters. Although last chapter wasn't really a setup chapter. It was more like going through Ellie's emotional state and how she's feeling, and Arthur and how he's feeling. Alaric and how he's feeling. Darren and how he's feeling. But hopefully this chapter is a better chapter. Hopefully this chapter is a good chapter. Can lift up my spirits, make my day a whole lot better, I'm hoping. But if not, it is what it is. Still T-Bait day. T-Bait day today. But it's gonna be a minute before I start, though. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the chapter. You're joining in, let me know what you thought about the chapter. If you thought it was a good chapter, thought it was an okay chapter. Because the last few chapters have been kind of meh. But I remember I was talking in the last stream about what I've read and what I've been reading. And so I couldn't think of the name. But what I was talking about was I've been reading a lot of Brandon Sanderson, right? So like the Mistborn series, all the Mistborn, like the Final Empire, what else I got on here? I got the Final Empire, I got some other shit, pretty much all the Mistborn series. And then I started to read Elantris, is what it's called, Elantris. Elantris was good. That was a pretty solid. You could tell that he got a lot better as his, like, I don't know what was his first thing he wrote, whatever, but like these stories got better. Like the Way of Kings, just way better than everything else. And then Elantris was solid. But I finished I think it's Way of Sand, White Sand, not Way of Sand, White Sand. I finished White Sand a few days ago. And White Sand was kind of meh. It was kind of meh, man. So I wouldn't recommend White Sand, but Elantris was solid. Gotta read Way of Kings. Gotta read the whole Stormlight Archives. Is just, you gotta read that shit, because the whole world and everything that's set up is super dope. But yeah, I think I'm about to start the chapter. It's like 7:30 Eastern time, so It's about the time where I normally start to read, when I get done driving and shit. So, um, but let me get ready to start the chapter. 446. 446. Let's get into it. Hopefully my reading is actually pretty cool. Pretty cool for today. Ascender targeted shops and inns passed by on either side. Okay. Ascender targeted shops. So I'm guessing they're talking about the relatives. Not relatives, but was it level 2? I think it is. Level 2 or whatever the fuck. Ascender targeted shops and inns passed by on either side as I moved without purpose along the main thoroughfare. Yeah, thoroughfare, some shit like that. I'm guessing this might be Arthur. I was pulled back to my first foray into this microcosm of Alacrian culture. Each aspect of it so hyper-focused, remembering the thug's ill-thought-out attempt to mug me, my run-in with Hadric, and my eventual unfortunate pairing with the Granbells. Man, the Granbells, man, like that was one of the parts that I actually really liked a lot was the Granbells. Put this one down a little bit. The Granbells, man, like Ezra, fucking stupid ass, immature kid. And then they also kind of hinted that he was going to be like mentally not strong because he ended up during the whole testing thing, he didn't get a good score. He got like below average or some shit like that. He kind of like, but I did good in other areas, whatever. But the mental stuff, he wasn't good. And so, it's obvious. It was kind of setting up for him like to not be mentally strong and let that, what was it, a fucking, scythe, or it probably wasn't a scythe, it was probably a retainer or some shit, but the ritual blooded person letting him out, and then that's what ended up killing all the rest of his family and shit. He's just a dumbass. But that was super dope. I had made a video about that whole section, the mirror room, just because I liked it so much. But anyway, it's a shame something's in my eye, man. What the hell is going on? I keep rubbing my eye, but I feel like I'm gonna shit. I think I'm alright. Maybe I just need some air. My eye's kind of red too. Alright, maybe it's not red. But anyway, so let me continue. It's a shame this all was built under a groaner. For no reason other than his own search for power, I thought, mentally comparing Ascender culture to the adventurers of Dakathan. This place could have been truly great. Even as I thought this, however, I realized that the idea behind the ascents was too far removed from the Jinn's original intention to bring my eyes fucking up again, man. Shit. Looks like somebody might be bagging up next to me. Or maybe not. I don't know. This place could have been truly great. Okay, man. I can't. My eye is just killing me. What the hell? Y'all just give me a second. Give your boy 1 second because I can't keep going like this, man. My eye is just, oh. Oh, shit. I think I might be right. Oh. Okay. Okay. I should be okay. In case you're worried. Okay, so this place could have been truly great. Even as I thought this, however, I realized that the idea behind the ascents was too far removed from the Jinn's original intention to bring any real insight into the Relatum's inner workings. So the idea behind the ascents was too far removed from the Jinn's original intention to bring... So the Jinn's original intention was to bring insight into the Relictoon's inner workings, but he's saying that the idea behind the ascents, like just to grab the relics and stuff like that, I guess that's just not gonna help anybody gain any insight. I guess that's just what he's saying. After all, one didn't study a book by ripping the pages out of it. Is he talking about like when they go in there and they're just like kind of like destroying things or something, or like fighting all the beasts? I don't know. I don't know what he's referring to. Like what are they doing wrong? Because they're just trying to gather the relics, right? I mean, why would they make the relics if they didn't want anybody to use them or take them? So I'm not quite sure what exactly he's saying. Recognizing the melancholy of my unfocused thoughts, I intentionally shifted back to the next task on my list. So his task, he said that he was looking to find the third relic, because he's going to need that insight in order to figure out the fourth relic or keystone. So he said that that's what was going to be his next focus. Recognizing the melancholy, Ceres was ready to speak to me. It had felt important to see my companions before, however, and although I hadn't run across Kara, I knew it was past time to learn what Ceres had planned for her people. After checking back in at the Craven, the fortified inn turned base of operations for Ceres herself. I received directions from a guard to a particular tower Ceres often retreated to when she needed to think, but didn't want to disconnect herself from the people under her care. Okay. I was surprised when I found the tower in question, which I had expected to be some wealthy, high blood status symbol or perhaps an intimidating guard tower. Instead, I found a plain, silo tucked away in the furthest corner of the zone amidst buildings that would have looked more at home on the first level among the industrialized areas. A bare metal staircase spiraled up the outside of the 70-foot tall structure, and I could sense Ceres' mana signature on the top. Stationary. The metal rang and creaked as I ascended, and when I crested the flat roof, Ceres was watching me. She wore dark, flowing robes. And so we need to learn more about Ceres. So I kind of like this. I like that they're having a conversation. And he's kind of leading up to it. I kind of like that. Because we need to learn more about Ceres, man. Like, when did she first know that she wanted to do this? Like, who taught her what she knows? It's some mysteries, man. Some mysteries. She wore dark flowing robes and a distant expression. At first, she didn't say anything, only waved me over to where she stood, looking out over the relic tombs. Taking her cue, I didn't speak, only took in the view as she did. The relic tombs looked different from up here. The fox sky didn't quite maintain its illusion when you could see the entire zone spread out around you. Let me just
disconnect.
I'm just disconnected really quick. Looking more like the inside of a painted dome than the sky itself. The edges not quite aligning properly with the ground and buildings, except for a couple of parks. Nearly the entire zone was built in, giving it a condensed, claustrophobic air from above. Even the high blood compounds looked small and cramped from this angle. The size and I know this word, I've heard this word before. Grandeur? Yeah, the size and grandeur, a carefully constructed illusion. My thoughts must have shown on my face because Ceres' gaze slowly swept across the city as she said, like a mana beast enclosure, painstakingly designed to disguise the fact that its residents are, in fact, pinned in a cage. Okay, so maybe pinned in a cage, she's talking about they're finally going to leave the relic tombs. Maybe that's what it means. A cage open, so like they're going to leave the relic tombs. Maybe that's what that means. So that's what I'm thinking right now. What up, though, Antonio? What's up? I don't think I've ever seen Antonio on here. Maybe you're new. But anyway, like a mana beast enclosure, painstakingly designed to disguise the fact that its residents are, in fact, penned in a cage. I knew she was talking. I knew She was talking about more than just the Relatoons. It was the Alacrians' entire way of life that pinned them in. One illusion of choice layered atop the next, thoroughly caging them all while simultaneously making them feel free. Exactly. Exactly. That's how he's able to get them to do what he wants them to do. A grown up, I'm talking about. What does it look like if you open the cage doors then? I asked, leaning against a railing that wrapped around the silo roof. Am I saying that right? The silo roof? Because silo kind of sounds not right.
Silo.
Silo roof, a tower or pit on a farm used to store grain. That's what I think. That's what I think about when I think of a silo. But I guess they're just talking about the shape of the roof. The roof is like a silo shape. That's what I intend to find out, she answered, swaying slightly. She shot me a Charinge half smile and eased herself down on the cool metal, holding onto the rail for support. I had hoped to allow my strength to fully return, but I sat down beside her. Agrona's message? Okay, so she got the message. What up, though, Levo? Glad you had you in alive again. What is it, like the third or fourth in a row? That's cool. That's cool. Agrona's message. Yes. She stared out into the zone for several seconds before continuing. His offer and ultimatum will put pressure on those who support my cause. The ones who aren't already in the fold here especially. Right, because the people who are most loyal are the ones that's already there, that followed her there. The ones that's helping her like outside of the second level of the Relatoons is they're not as committed. That's how I would call it. But the cracks are formed and the wound dealt. Alacria has seen gods bleed and beg. This will fester in their minds and hearts. And later, when a choice must be made to die for their high sovereign or live for themselves, more would choose themselves than would have otherwise. Okay, so she's kind of, she seems pretty confident in what she's been able to do, and she thinks that the people are going to choose to, keep themselves alive than die for a grown-up. Okay. We watched as a man in the black and crimson uniform of a Relatoon's clerk exited one of the nearby buildings through a back door. He eased the door closed behind him, then leaned against the wall, sinking down it as his body. Wait, is that right? Sinking down it as his body, tiny in distance, racked with sobs. The legacy is, it turns out, exactly what Agrona said she would be, Sarah said softly. As she watched the man in the distance, her expression curious but not uncaring. I had thought perhaps that Agrona hadn't sent her to the Relatoons yet because he didn't want to have her fail so publicly yet again. But now I think I understand his true reason. When Sarah didn't immediately continue, I prodded her gently, saying, "What do you think his true intentions are then?" I'm afraid that the division of Alacria has played into his hands. So she thinks that what she's doing in Alacria actually helped him out?
Power off.
Let me see if I can try to theorize how she's come to that conclusion. So he hasn't sent Cecilia into the Relatoons yet. And the division of Alacria, like the Civil War, quote unquote, is played into his hands. So it's helped him out. How could the division help him out? I guess to maybe to get them to trust him more? I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm afraid that the division of Alacria has played into his hands, she said severely. I suspect that he wished for this portal between our world and Ephiodus to be open. We have helped to make him look vulnerable. Talking about Kezis, right? Let's talk about Kezis. Ensuring that the dragons finally come into play. But that's what you wanted, right? I said, recalling her speech to the High Bloods about their grand purpose. Agrona and Kezis yeah, right, that's what she said. Agrona and Kezis, because she said that she want them to fight and kill each other pretty much. Agrona and Kezis are each working to outmaneuver the other. Meanwhile, we have to figure out how to make sure our people, both Dicathians and the Alacrians, survive the coming war. She picked at her fingernails as I spoke, but froze when she seemed to realize what she was doing, then slowly lower her hands. It will be important that they both continue to think they have the upper hand, yes. I know Agrona as well as any, but you understand Kez's Indra far better than I do. So this is her talking about her. So she understands Agrona better, but Arthur understands Kez's better. But here's the thing, though. I'm surprised to hear her say that, because Sarah's has always talked about everything that's happened, like all her plans and everything she done. She always talked about it as if like she knew exactly who they were. Like she knew exactly the type of person that Aldir was when she went and met him. Is like, oh yeah, you're done with, like she knew that he was done with killing, and she knew that he was going to take the information that Arthur is alive to Kez's, which is part of her plan. And like she knew Agrona, right? She knew, I guess she don't really know Kez's that well, other than like he's similar to Agrona. Because I remember when she was talking to Aldir, she was like, it's like two sides of the same coin. It's either Agrona or Kez's or Agrona, but they're both are willing to kill anybody to achieve their goals or whatever the fuck. So like, I'm kind of surprised to hear her say that she thinks that Arthur knows Kez's better than she does. Because she's been around longer than Arthur has. It will be important that they both continue to think they have the upper hand, yes. I know Agrona as well as any, but you understand Kez's Indra far better than I do. Do you think he can be convinced to limit the scope of this war against Agrona? But that was part of the plan. That was part of the plan that Arthur had made the deal with him, was that he said that he didn't want to get Dicathin and Alacria. He didn't want to have them suffer like collateral damage from their war. So he wanted to keep both of them protected. But then again, he can't be trusted, so we don't even know if he's actually going to follow through with that. How did she know that? That's what I'm saying, Lebo. We still don't know a whole lot about Sarris when you really think about it. Like, we know about what she's doing now, but we don't know about like what motivated her to do this. Like how long we know that she's been planning this for a long time. We know that much. But we don't know exactly like who taught her, what she knows. How did what the fuck is his name? Her retainer. Sarah's retainer. I know his name. Cyrith. How did he get so loyal to her, right? Cause he's willing to die, whatever the fuck, he don't care. He's like, he is complete like ride or die. So like, how did she get him? Did she have some sort of history with him or some shit? Because it seems like the retainers the sides choose their retainers carefully, right? So, yeah, we still need to learn more. We still need to learn more about Sarris. We know about her problem with like picking her nails or some shit like that, or like clicking her nails. She said that she thought she got rid of it a long time ago, but she never did. And then she was just kind of picking her nails just now, and she like slowly put her hands away. So where am I at? Okay. Do you think he can be convinced to limit the scope of this war against Agrona? He wants something that, for now, only I can give him. Deeper understanding of ether. I paused, watching as the crying man in the distance stood, wiped himself off, and went back through the door he'd appeared from. As long as he can keep me friendly with minimum effort to sacrifice on his part, or as long as he can keep me friendly with minimum effort or sacrifice on his part, he'll do it. But I have no doubt that as soon as the equation shifts, he'll just as quickly betray any promise he had made. No, he can only be relied on to do what will get him closer to what he wants. Okay. Agrona and Kez's are much alike in that way then. Despite any shreds of wisdom these Asuras may have gained over their long lives, their inherent selfishness and self-assuredness is a weakness we will have to exploit. For example, I am now firmly convinced that Agrona is intentionally pitting you and Cecilia against each other. It would seem foolish to us that he risks his greatest asset in skirmishes with you, his strongest adversary outside of the Asuras themselves. But Agrona is a scientist at his core. Experiments. He loves fucking experimenting. He is a scientist at his core, and he operates on a timetable of centuries, not days. What is a few months of civil war what is a few months of civil war or tens of thousands of lives lost to such a being, if he can learn something new about mana or ether? She said something about him wanting my core, I remember. I guess I finally got his attention after all. Ceres drummed her fingers across the metal railing. Kezis wants to drain the knowledge from your mind, while Agrona wants to dissect you and see how you work. Not an inviolable position, but I'm trusting that you are strong enough or will become strong enough to handle that pressure. I kind of like this. I like the just the honesty in their just conversation. Just like, here's how, because we're learning more about how she feels about Arthur, how Arthur feels about her. So she's trusting Arthur, obviously, that he's going to be, because basically what she had explained to Aldir was that there's a third choice. You don't have to choose Kezis or Agrona, that there's a third choice. And she analogized it as, if Agrona is heads and Kezis is tails, then there's also a third person who's flipping the coin, which is kind of crazy because you think that the person that's flipping the coin is even more powerful than the fucking coin itself, right? And she says Arthur is the person that's flipping the coin. So to me, she chose Arthur. She's like, hey, he's another person who could be someone you can support, right? Which is part of the reason why Aldir did what he did and left and, went to try to help Arthur. And then, selfishly decided that he wanted to stay into the Relic Tombs, the Ether Realm, and just die there for some fucking stupid ass reason. Anyway, let me not talk about that. So, let me reread this. Kezis wants to drain the knowledge from your mind, while Agrona wants to dissect you and see how you work. Not an inviolable position, but I'm trusting that you are strong enough or will become strong enough to handle that pressure. And it does give us an opportunity. If Agrona is going to keep sending the legacy after you, it means we will have another chance to defeat her. My mind was forced back yet again to my battle with Cecilia. Despite the small insights had gained, I knew bigger steps were required. No, not steps, leaps. It was now necessary that I find the third keystone as soon as possible and gain insight into the God runes contained in both the third and the fourth keystones. So here's what's so funny about that, because he says the God runes that's contained within the keystones, but the way that the Jinn talked about it is that Arthur is the one that's creating the God runes. His insight is what creates the God runes. So like he's creating them. So it's not like it's a God rune stored in there. It's insight that's stored in there, but the insight gets manifested into God runes. So it's kind of interesting that he phrased it that way when that's not the case. Necessary that I find the third keystone as soon as possible and gain insight into the God runes contained in both the third and fourth keystones. It could no longer wait, and nothing else took precedence. Only there was so much else to do. So many people who were relying on me to protect them. Like all the people currently trapped in the zone. Even though the Alacrian loyalist forces under Dragoth has so far failed to penetrate the shielded portals, cutting this level off from the first, I couldn't be sure that Cecilia wasn't capable of doing so. All I knew was that if anyone could, it was her. Which meant, as Sarah said, that Agrona had chosen not to send her here, allowing the situation to continue despite potentially having the means to stop it. So that's what she means. That he's not sending Cecilia there when she could probably easily bypass that portal, because he wants Arthur and Cecilia to continue to fight one another. Just like in Daikatha, we lost the war to an army composed mainly of slaves and unadorned soldiers. It had only taken the involvement of a couple of sides to ensure our defeat. Agrona's wraiths, even, a single squadron, could have demolished our entire continent in a week. and not even the lances would have been able to put up a fight against them. He had the means, but instead, he created a sense of conflict, allowing us to imagine ourselves in a battle that we could win, when the reality was anything but. That's true, man. That's true. Because, like, man, think about this. The lances, we can't even guarantee. Let's go back to when Arthur first became a lance, and he fought the poison chick that was hopping in trees. I forget her name. He like barely survived that conflict, and she was a retainer. She was a fucking retainer. The lances, they probably, most likely, would be able to defeat a retainer. It wouldn't be easy, but they could probably defeat a retainer. So like Lyra Dryde, Cyrith, the poison chick or whatever, they could probably defeat a retainer. But the sides, like, you can get all three of the lances together back when it was back during that time, and they wouldn't be able to defeat a scythe. Not at all. So like he could have easily just sent like, oh, one scythe there and then boom, the whole war would have been over. Not even including the wraiths. He didn't even have to fuck with the wraiths. He could have just sent one scythe and just boom. That's a wrap. So yeah, he's definitely just playing games and shit. So we lost the war to an army composed mainly of slaves and unadorned. All right, he had the means, but instead, he created a sense of conflict, allowing us to imagine ourselves in a battle that we could win when the reality was anything but. We hadn't been lambs to the slaughter. We hadn't been lambs to the slaughter. We had been fish in a net. Optics, I muttered. Sarah nodded as she closed her eyes and rubbed the bridge of her nose, supporting herself with one arm. Yes, I think so too. A carefully choreographed stage play. Although not for our benefit. I won't give him more credit than he deserves. However, I don't imagine your appearance and actions at the Victoriad were part of his grand design. And that's what I was saying. That was part of the bullshit that he was feeding to Cecilia, where he was like, oh yeah, this is all part of my plan. Like, motherfucker, it wasn't part of your plan. You didn't expect Arthur. First off, he didn't expect Arthur to be alive after Sylvie sacrificed himself or herself to save him. He didn't expect Arthur to be alive. He didn't expect Arthur to have an ether core. He didn't expect Arthur to show up at the Victoria and be able to kill Cadell, one of his strongest, regardless of what. Cadell was his strongest scythe. Like, none of the other scythes were stronger than Cadell. Cadell was his right-hand man, power, he get shit done. He fucking killed his strongest scythe, right? He didn't expect that shit. And then not only that, Arthur ended up, like, teleporting and getting away from him when he tried to use his power to grab him. Shit, he got away. He didn't expect that shit either. So like, man, he just, and he kept on saying over and over again, oh, Gray, he's no threat. We don't care about him anymore. He's meaningless. He's worthless. He's meaningless. And all this other shit. And then when Nico was like, let me kill him. Let me go kill him or whatever. And he was like, yeah, go ahead, but let's hope he doesn't kill you. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't care. So anyway, but then now he's talking to Cecilia like, oh yeah, you guys need each other, and blah 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 blah, all this bullshit, man. But anyway. So optics, yes, I think so too. I won't give him more credit than he deserves, however. I don't imagine your appearance and actions at the Victoria were part of his grand design. I've never seen him so angry as when you vanished out from under his very nose. I smiled, and Sarah gave a small laugh. She wobbled slightly as she did, and the laugh died away as quickly as it had come. She shifted to the side, trying to get more comfortable, and so I turned as well, putting my back against hers. Wait, what was it? How are they positioned? She shifted to the side, trying to get more comfortable, and I turned as well, putting my back to hers. So are they like back to back? She went stiff, clearly caught off guard, then slowly relaxed and eased into me, so the weight of our bodies was supporting one another. So are they like sitting? I'm guessing they're sitting. They were sitting side by side, but she kind of shifted, and then he shifted to have his body support hers and hers support his, so they're like just kind of leaning side by side. Okay. And it just shows they're kind of getting more comfortable with one another a little bit. She went stiff, clearly caught off guard, then slowly relaxed and eased into me, so the weight of our bodies was supporting one another. I won't blame you for our current situation, but I could, she said, wry humor lacing her words. She said that she won't blame Arthur, but she could blame him for the situation. How is it his fault? What? Because of what he did at Victoria, maybe? I looked up at the blue sky, watching the atmospheric ether move to its own strange whims all around us. That's what Retainer Lyra thought. That you started the rebellion to force Agrona's eye homeward and give me time to retake the capital. Do you regret it? Knowing that that's probably exactly what he wanted? No, she said without hesitation. As I said, we've wounded his image, optics, as you said. Even a small wound can change the course of entire future battles. And I can't let you take such credit either. Arthur Lewin, I only adjusted things forward. I didn't invent this entire movement for your benefit alone. I chuckled, my shoulders moving against Sarah's. I could feel each of her breaths. Yeah, her breaths moved through me. But we were both comfortable, relaxed. That was strange. There were very few people I could have had this conversation with and felt so at ease. Let me see what you said, Lebo, really quick. Wait a moment. You say Art is the one creating the God room. So does that mean that Art is the one choosing the ether path? When you say choosing the ether path, no. He's not choosing the ether path. It's all based on the insight. That's what it's all about. So the insight is what is creating the ether path, so to say. And I'm guessing the path you're talking about, Avum, Vivum, and Spatium, right? So it's his insight. His insight. So I mean, I guess in a sense, yeah, he's creating the path, but it's all based off of his insight. Whatever he learns, whatever insight he gains, that insight is going to manifest into some branch of ether, whether it be Avum, Spatium, or Vivum, and it's going to be manifested into a God room that he's going to get access to. That's what the Jinn explained. That's what they explained. They explained that it was him creating the God rooms. You know, because basically everything about ether is all based on insight. That's why you can't be taught how to do it. Like, you gotta just learn. Like, it's crazy. Like, you gotta just learn how to do the shit. So yeah, he's creating the path, but it's all based on the insight though. So the insight that's contained within it, because I mean, they even explain. I don't know if y'all can hear that train. It might be a little bit too loud, but man, I can put that down. But they even explained that what was I trying to say? I was talking about the insight, and I was talking about how he creates it, and because I'm talking about the Jinn. The Jinn explained that, yeah. So the insight that's inside the keystones, right? That stuff is. Because they kind of make it like a puzzle. Because they even said that the relic tombs themselves is to give you insight not only into ether, but also mana too. You can learn insights into mana from, exploring the relic tombs too. So they got mana, ether, all types of insight just by just exploring, what else, like interacting with the creatures that they created there, because everything's created for a reason. Think about how he found 4 steps, right? I think that's how I said it. Yeah, 4 steps. 3 steps? 3 steps. Yeah, 3 steps. Because of 3 teleportations. So think about how he found 3 steps, right? And the Shadow Panthers and shit. Like, they were created to for you to learn and get insight into that spatium branch of ether to be able to do God stuff. Like, that's what it was about. Like, they already kind of accomplished that, and when he learned God stuff, he found a better way of being able to utilize it, being more efficient. Not just using your eyes or whatever, just using your senses and stuff like that. Being able to go further, and then now this motherfucker's like using it to put his blade inside the space and come out on another side, like all types of crazy ass shit. And this is all from insight. Because even when you read the chapter, right, when he first did that shit, when he stabbed the air and they ended up going to Melsri, right, or no, Viessa, and it killed her. The way that it was explained in the chapter was that he just suddenly figured out how to do it. Like, he just got the insight. It made sense to him, and he just did that shit. And then you remember he was talking about how it was wasted, I guess. He said it was wasted for something like that or whatever, because he could have used it to try to kill Cecilia, but he did it, to try to kill Viesa instead. So yeah, so everything is just insight, man. But anyway, oh shit, I think I disconnected for a little bit. But no, I wouldn't say he's choosing the insight. It's all based off of how he understands the information that's in the Keystone. Because like, think of Realmheart, right? He manifested Realmheart to be Realmheart. Like it could have been anything else, but the way that he understood it is the same thing with Godstep. When he uses Godstep, they say that he manifests it as lightning. Like that's how he pictures it. He pictures it as lightning. So Godstep isn't lightning. That's just the way that Arthur perceives it. He perceives it as purple lightning, and so it looks like lightning to him. But that's all based off of how he perceives it, his insight. So if it was somebody else, that shit could be something completely different. It could be wind, it could be fucking frost or some shit, like it all depends on how you perceive it, So I'm just trying to like link some of the things that they said to try to make it make more sense. Hopefully that makes some sense. But anyway, you made me forget where I was at because I went like too deep into that. But he was talking about how it was nobody else that he could do this with. Okay, here it is. So that was strange. There were very few people I could have had this conversation with and felt so at ease. It was hard to imagine that I had once watched her rip the horns from a retainer's head, a retainer who had defeated Sylvie and me together, as easily as pulling the wings from a fly. The landscape of the world's power dynamic had changed significantly since then, or at least my place in it had. Hadn't it, I thought? Suddenly unsure, was my growth and success just more dancing to Kez's and Agrona's tune, or was there something else to it? What the fuck is this? It's fate. Regis always coming in, man. He always coming in with some shit. It's fate. Regis intruded suddenly. The word drawn out like it was spoken by a ghostly apparition. No, I thought back firmly. It is me, my own doing, my own strength. My control over ether and my status as a quadra-elemental mage before that wasn't some machination of gods or fate or anything else. I worked to achieve it, built my strength in a way perhaps no one else in this world could have. Trailing off, I considered my own thoughts. I had only been able to utilize all four elements because I had been reincarnated with my previous life memories intact. And although it had been my own force of will that had forged the ether core, I still didn't really know how I'd ended up in the relatives in the first place. Looking at it like that, it was hard to disavow any influence of some power behind my control, even fate. Regis gave me the mental equivalent of an appreciative nod. Damn right. Although you have to have had a pretty good support structure, which has allowed you to get the most of both your natural abilities and the opportunities presented to you. For example, I know, I thought, biting back a small smile. So what, Regis? Are you talking about Regis trying to give himself a pound in the back? Like, yeah, what about, me? I'm the one that helped you get to where you at right now. Anyway, he said, what did he say? I know, I thought, biting back a small smile. I've never lacked purpose, and much of that has come from those around me, my family. Oh, shucks, Regis thought back, reading the intention behind my words just as easily as hearing the words themselves. Sarah just shifted against my back, tensing slightly. But now, Arthur, it is I who need your help, because I have decided what my people will do next. Okay, what she's gonna do? I kind of like this chapter. This chapter is really chill. That's how I would call this chapter. This chapter is really chill. So what did she decide? I waited, giving her the time she needed to formulate the words. All my designs for the relic tombs have failed. And even if they hadn't, I could no longer be certain in keeping the legacy out when Agrona finally decides to unleash her on us. She took her time, breathing deeply, considering her words before she spoke. I'm not ready to destroy the portals. It strikes a blow against the very people I work to help. Wait. I'm not ready to destroy the portals. It strikes a blow against the very people I work to help, as well as Agrona. So it strikes a blow to the people that she's trying to help, like the Alacrians. And it also is a blow to Agrona as well. Future generations may rely on this place in ways we can't yet comprehend. So I'm retreating from the Relatombs. So where is she going? Is she going to Dicathin? Is she going to the Beastglades? I had experienced this. I had expected this. Regis' assistance in holding the shields was a temporary solution at best. Besides, without constant supplies from the first level and outside world, no sizable population could live in the second level for an extended period of time. And that's where I came in. Or that's where I come in. Okay. Although I will force no one to follow me out of here, I will take anyone who wishes it to Eleanor. To the waste where you have banished the Alacrian soldiers in Dicathin. I took a moment to digest this, careful to hold back my immediate judgment. Inside, I was loath to invite yet more Alacrians to Dicathian shores, even these ones. So he didn't like it. He hated it, or he doesn't like it. But my willingness is even the biggest problem, and you want me to help. Convince the dragons. How the hell is he supposed to do that? Like, they're trying to take over. The dragons are trying to take over while being there in the first place. I need you to speak on my behalf. Convince the dragons, Kezis himself if you must, to allow it. But not only that, it may be that Agrona decides this is a definite and moves a definitive, what I'm saying. This is definitive and moves against our people in the Eleanor Waste. The dragon's protection is also needed. So she wants Arthur to convince Kezis to have his dragons protect not only the Dicathians but also the Alacrians? I mean, I guess more insight given to him will maybe get this to happen temporarily at least. I have turned around looking at the back of Sarah's head, which was leaning forward. I got the impression that her eyes were closed. This move also puts you in a position to build an alliance, maybe even some good faith. It would even bring you a step closer to Kezis' ear. Wait, is this her saying this? I think this is Sarah saying this. This move also puts you in a position to build an alliance, maybe even some good faith. It will even bring you a step closer to Kezis' ear, which is necessary if you intend to intend to continue feeding the conflict between the two. So maybe this is Arthur saying this about Sarah. Sarah's gonna get closer to Kezis' ear. Yeah, I think this is Arthur saying that. Sarah's weight vanished from my back. She stood. The weariness melted away as she looked down on me imperiously, and I saw again the woman who had saved me from Uto so long ago. I intend to help you do so, Arthur. So who said that? Was that Arthur saying that this move also puts you in a position to build an alliance, maybe even some good faith? It would even bring you a step closer to Kezis' ear, which is necessary if you intend to continue feeding the conflict between the two. Is that Arthur saying that, or is that Sarah saying that? Because I think it's Arthur, based off of the last part, if you intend to continue feeding the conflict, because Sarah wants to continue feeding the conflict. I intend to help you to do so, Arthur. At the gains of my feet as well, I was the one looking down at her. What do you need to do then? Or what do we need to do then? Here, I said, handing Cyrith my tempest warp. He looked over the repaired exterior housing before setting it on the ground next to the one Sarah had brought herself. The only two allowed in the relative zones, as they posed the largest threat of intrusion from the outside. You were able to fix it? Yeah, Auror's Requiem. We could do that, no sweat. The crack was sealed, and physically, it was in fine shape. I had used Auror's Requiem on it in preparation for the journey. What I couldn't manage, though, was replacing the magic that had been expended from within it. After this, the anvil-shaped artifact would be a little more... Wait. So he couldn't... He couldn't... What I couldn't manage, though, was replacing the magic that had been expended from within it. After this, the anvil-shaped artifact would be little more than a chunk of metal. I explained, and he nodded as if he'd expected this. No wonder. The devices themselves are not made so much as reclaimed from pieces of old gen relics like the teleportation portals. They are finite, like the dimension artifacts. I blinked in surprise, not having known this. Mentally, I made a note to get Gideon and Ren at Tempest Warp so they could confirm what Cyrith had said. Having done as Ceres asked, I bid Cyrith a temporary farewell and retreated to a less crowded section of the courtyard. People teamed, I guess, around the arrival portals, which were still being disrupted by Ceres' artifacts powered by Regis. Although Ceres had briefed me on exactly how many people were present in the second level, it was still startling to see them all in one place. They spilled out of the courtyard into the alleys and side streets and well down Sovereign Boulevard. Most appeared varying degrees of afraid. The less well-off folk, universally employees or business owners who had been trapped there when Ceres blocked the zone off from the Relatoon's first level, were largely clustered around the disruption array. They were kept back by the many battle groups of mages. It's kind of getting a little dark. They were kept back by the many battle groups of mages that were guarding several high bloods who were also, I think that's queuing around the portals. Rumors had started to fly almost immediately when Ceres announced that people were to gather their belongings, pack up whatever they could take with no plans to return, combined with the rumors floating about Agronus broadcast. Many people extensively believed Ceres was standing down. Ceres herself had visited the High Lords and matrons of the present High Bloods to explain her plan and make sure they understood what was being offered. Okay. So basically, before this is over, it seems like she's about to leave. She's trying to figure out how many people is going to stay or is going to go along with her, or how many people is going to stay and, go with Agronus offer. So I'm guessing the High Bloods are going to go because she explained the plan, right? But then again, I guess it doesn't necessarily mean that. Hopefully, I'm getting enough light. Okay. This chapter should be almost done, I would think. What'd you say, Lebo, before I start? Let me pick your brain on this. Apart from Auror's Requiem, Destruction, God Step, how far can Ether go compared to mana? So aside from Aurora's Requiem, Destruction, and God Step, I mean, I would say that Ether can go. Okay, here's what I would say. I would say that Ether could go 1,000 times farther than mana. I mean, just leave God Step. You can't do no shit like that with mana. You can't even come close to doing some shit like that with mana. Aurora's Requiem, being able to see, or not being able to see, being able to move back time. Realm Heart, being able to use Ether to influence mana, to be able to stop even though we saw the dragons with Meyer when she was teaching Arthur that you could interfere with people's, because remember Arthur was doing this shit. You can use, I don't think he was using Ether though, where you can interfere with people's ability to form spells and shit. Because remember when Arthur was having that fight with remember when Meyer was trying to teach Arthur like being able to see the spell that's about to be made and like interfere with it, right? He wasn't using ether to do that. He was using mana. So, because he didn't have access to ether. Or was he using Realm Heart? Was he using Realm Heart when he was doing that? I don't remember him using Realm Heart to do that. I think he might have. I think he might have been using... I think he had Realm Heart activated when he was doing that little spar with Meyer, and she was teaching him how to like interfere with people's spells. But I don't remember him using Realm Heart when he fought Tessia's, Tessia's friend, like the two people she was like, in charge of. And remember Arthur fought him and he did like some Neji, hitting your fucking key points and you can't use mana no more. Remember he did that shit? And then that never got brought up again. That was just like some random ass shit that happened. Oh yeah, Arthur can block your mana flow. And then that shit never got brought up again. Remember when he did that to him and he stopped his attacks, all types of shit. I don't think he was using Realm Heart. So anyway, I guess my point that I'm trying to make is that I would say it's 1,000 times further just because the level of the shit that you can do. Like, you can literally make portals, right? We know some of the dragons are so strong because they got influence over ether. Like, look at Kezis. Kezis can fucking stop time. Who can do some shit like that with mana? Like, nobody can. He can literally teleport he can teleport you to some new area on a whim, just like, and we're leaving here and we're going somewhere else, and we're leaving here and we're going, like, that shit's crazy. Think about ether being able to heal. Like, mana can't heal that efficiently at all. Like, Arthur can literally heal up any part of his body, although this fucking core leaving a scar or some shit, although we're kind of thinking that scar is like a mental scar, not like a physical scar. So, I mean, you think about that, shit, like, I could just see ether doing you could literally make dimensions and creatures using ether, right? A whole ecosystem. And I know it took a lot of mages in order to do that, but like, unlimited. That's what I'll say. I'll say unlimited. So, who the hell is that? Let me see real quick. Anyway, so let me continue what I was reading off of. Rumors have started to fly again. Blah, blah. Okay, so yeah. So rumors have started to fly. Yeah, rumors have started to fly almost immediately when Ceres announced that people were to gather their belongings and blah, blah. A new life, one outside the Ritual Clan's strict hierarchy of blood purity. A culture we can build for ourselves that doesn't run on the blood of our strongest and weakest. She had explained to Corbett Denoir, only the day before. Let me be clear. What I mean by this, when we reach Decathlon, the notion of high bloods Let me be clear what I mean by this. When we reach Decathlon, the notion of high bloods, name bloods, and unblooded all ceases to hold any meaning. We will all have to work together to build towards a society worth living in. The luck of your birth and the stand... Oh, shit, I almost fucked up my thing. And the luck of your birth and the standing of your blood in Alacria will carry no weight, no power where we're going. Oh, so I wonder how they're going to feel about that when you're not able to do, like, any of the shit that you previously was able to do. Okay. Lenore's face had gone pale, but she had stepped forward first, holding her hand out to her husband. He took it as he joined her, chewing his lip before saying, "We've come this far, Cypseris." He shot a glance to Kara and then to me. "I have no interest in crawling on my belly in front of the Ritual Clan, hoping for the High Sovereign's leniency. High Blood Denor is with you. Or Denoir, I keep saying Denor. Denoir is with you." Kara had shaken her head, her jaw slack as she looked at her adopted parents, as if she didn't know them. Now, she stood by them proudly on the opposite side of the courtyard, Among the rest of their blood, who were in the Relatoons, I had listened in on all of Sarah's conversations, but I knew not all of them had gone as well. High Lord Frost was furious at the retreat to Dicatha, seeing it as admitting failure and abandoning what they set out to do. Matron Trembly, on the other hand, showed little emotion as she expressed her intent to accept Agrona's forgiveness. Oh, so Trembly is going to accept Agrona's forgiveness and return to her newly formed high blood. Matron Trembly. Who the fuck is that again? Is that Kara's friend? Can't blame her exactly, Caden said, pulling my gaze away from where Matron... Oh, Caden's still there? He got opinions and shit? Can't blame her exactly, Caden said, pulling my gaze away from where Matron Trembly and all her people were gathered close to the portals. For most of these high bloods, this rebellion was a way to elevate themselves by removing the virtue. For others, they hoped to claim the continent for us, the Lessers. The idea of leaving Alacria for them is like leaving an essential part of their identity behind. But not you? I asked, watching the crowd carefully. Part of my role in all this was to ensure that things didn't boil over between the two opposing groups. Those following Ceres and those staying behind. He shrugged. A perfectly executed and performed motion that expressed both his lack of passion for his homeland and disdain for a political structure that he had actively retreated away from when he became a professor at the Central Academy. In the context of our world, Alacrian is little more than a term for a human with the taint of virtual blood. Not sure what they think there is to be so proud about. To be frank, regardless of whether they were staying or leaving, both sides were desperate. Their decision made more with hope or fear than logic. Only those leaving Alacria with Ceres were afraid to return to their previous lives and hopeful for better ones in the future. While those who were prepared to take Agrona at his word, give up on the rebellion, feared Agrona's wrath, and hoped that his offer was true. Yeah, they're putting a lot of faith in Agrona to see if he's actually going to follow through with what he said. Ideally, we would have had weeks to prepare. Messages should have been sent to Lyra Dryad and Vekajor and even Kezis, and shelter and provisions prepared for new influx of refugees to the Eleanor Waste, but we hadn't had weeks. No, Ceres had allowed her people only a day and a half to prepare. A day and a half to prepare. Carts and crates, mana beasts and self-pulling sledges, anything that could be used to haul goods and provisions had been dragged or driven to the courtyard's outskirts as servants. Soldiers and ascenders worked around the clock, but they weren't the only ones. Already I was seeing Ceres' vision put into practice as high lords and ladies alike rubbed elbows with the lowest members of their houses in order to be ready in time. Okay, so they're already kind of getting prepared, because she wants to get everybody working together and not think about themselves as like, oh, I'm a high blood this, or I'm a, named blood that. So they're working together just to even have the time to be able to leave. So I wonder how many. So we know that Matron Trembly is gonna go back to Agrona, or go back to Alacria. Okay. What was that? Carts and crates, mana beasts, self-pulling, they all work together around the clock. Okay. Ceres floated up into the air near where she had arranged to set up the Tempest warps. A man in fine clothes near the exit portals, a named blood shop owner by the looks of it, shouted something unkind, and a scuffle broke out as an older mage with dark bags under his eyes took exception. So a scuffle broke out because he said some shit that they didn't like. Several bystanders were quick to step in and prevent the fight from escalating, but as my attention slid off the scuffle, it landed on another scene, practically hidden by the thronging mass of people. Mela and Seth hunkered together beneath the balcony of one of the large buildings bordering the courtyard. Mela had her arms wrapped around Seth, the top of her head pushing his glasses up and to the side. She trembled with suppressed sobs, even as she reached up to give Seth a peck on the corner of his lips. What the fuck is a on the corner. Like, just kiss him, bruh. But wait, she's probably upset though because her sister, right? She'll be leaving her sister. Or maybe she'll ask Arthur, like, hey, can you go back and, get my sister and bring her with me or something like that? Because she cares about her sister. Or maybe she's like, God damn. Fucking trains, man. But maybe she's kissing him saying bye because she doesn't plan on staying. She doesn't plan on leaving with him. She plans on staying because she can't leave her sister. Maybe that's the reason why. So she reached up to get the peck on the corner of his lips. I looked away, not wanting to intrude on their private moment. Although I hadn't spoken to them since the conversation with Ellie, I could guess what was happening. Mela had a family back in, that's what it was called, Etriel. A sister, a reason not to leave the continent. In other words, Seth's family, though, was all gone, victims of the war and destruction of Eleanor. Listen, Alacrians and friends, Sarah said, her voice projected magically so that all could hear her words, even the farthest away, easily making out her crisp enunciation. I would not burden you with a long-winded speech. I would not insult you with pleas or threats. Your will is your own, each and every one of you. If ever there was a purpose to our act of rebellion, it is that. The relatives were quiet in response. The relatives were quiet in response. The crowd hanging on Sarah's words like a lifeline, even those who weren't following her. For those of you returning home, accepting and hoping for the grace of the High Sovereign, I wish you only health and hope. See to your families, defend yourselves in whatever way you think best. Her dark eyes swept the crowd, power oozing from her and making those closest step back. I will not judge you for it. Many of you did not join this long siege of your own free will. And to those of you, I offer both my apologies and my thanks for suffering these last 2 months with grace. I offer my thanks as well to all those who followed me forward, stepping out from the High Sovereign's yoke and daring to imagine what a world beyond the conflicts of Asuras might look like for us. She let a small smile soften her severe expression. It would not be a safe road or an easy one, but the path will be of our own choosing. No cheer went up when Sarah stopped talking. No eager shouts or chanting. The attitude of the crowd was split between a melancholy tinged eagerness and weary readiness. At some unseen signal from Sarah's, 2 Tempest warps were activated, creating twin portals that opened beside each other into Dicathan. Sarah's drifted down in front of the portals, and she was the first one to step through. Several clerks and officials in her employ began guiding the crowd in a kind of controlled chaos. Cyrith monitored the portals while a dozen battle groups lingered in the courtyard to keep the peace. Moving blood by blood, Alacrians marched through. On the opposite side of the courtyard, all those who wouldn't be traveling to Dicathan lingered. We couldn't deactivate the shield disruption array until everyone had gone, and then those people would be on their own. I could only hope that Agrona will be true to his word and that they will be allowed to return to their lives. Man, they have no idea. They have no idea, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. And he could easily just be like, you know what, y'all dead. Y'all done. It was all a lie. Because they're not going to have any witnesses. There will be nothing stopping Drogoth and his forces from cutting them down otherwise. I noticed High Blood Denoir lingering, not among the rush to be first through the Tempest Warp portals. Then caught sight of Kara snaking her way against the current of the flowing crowd. Matron Tremblay met her in the middle, and they exchanged a few words. Although I couldn't hear, I knew that Kara was making one more plea for Malus to come with them, but the matron only shook her head. So yeah, that's our friend. Or from the past, her friend. Leaning forward, the imposing matron knocked her horns against Kara's smile and turned away. Chul and Sylvie lingered around me, watchful and silent. Ellie, eager to be involved and still embarrassed about her outburst, was rushing about making herself helpful wherever she could. Whether that was calming a frightened child or leading a mana beast toward the portal to help one of the less populous bloods. My own mind, that's actually a surprisingly long ass chapter. My own mind was strangely quiet as the exodus proceeded. It took hours. It took hours? God damn. During which many of those staying left the courtyard, during their waiting in a more comfortable environment. Since nothing was needed of me, I only watched, keeping myself separate. This was their journey after all. I was an outsider. Once most of the people were through, Ceres' soldiers and a group of ascenders hauled stored provisions through, and those staying began filtering back. Ellie went through with a contingent of mages hauling magical items, throwing me a look that very clearly said, "I'm sorry and I'm okay," as she vanished. Once the very last of Sarah's people had passed through to Decathlon, Cyrus deactivated my Tempest Warp, snapping his hand back as he touched it. It was glowing brightly, and there was a distant heat haze above it. He searched me out and nodded from across the courtyard. The next step was up to me, or rather, to Regis. "Okay, it's time," I thought to him in his little glass jar as I startled toward the Tempest Warp. "Be quick, we can't be sure how fast they'll respond." The tiny horn ball of light drifted out of the glass jar and then solidified into the form of a shadow wolf. Regis shook his mane, making it flare with violent light, and the nearest Alacrians yelped and stumbled away from him, pushing into the people behind them and creating a sort of miniature stampede. The effect of the artifacts projecting the disruption field was immediate. The ether, without Regis' intent keeping it flowing, simply ceased doing so. It began to leak from the wiring and the crystals, and without enough ether, the field began to flicker in and out. Regis hurried across the courtyard. A couple of Lacrians must have had second thoughts because they broke from the ranks and their peers and followed after him. Wordlessly, Cyrus ushered them through the portal. "Go," I said to Cyrus, as well as Chul and Sylvie. "I'm right behind you." Once they were gone, I picked up the Tempest Warp and I held it under one arm. The disruption field failed, and the people rushed to the bank of exit portals. The bank of exit portals as the Lacrian soldiers began pouring from the entrance portals. They came quick. Dragoth must have been ready and waiting. Shouting rose up from both sides. A woman threw herself at one of the soldiers, gasping at the front of his battle robes as she begged for his help. The butt of his spear came up and cracked against her ribs. The shouting intensified as the remaining high bloods demanded order, attempted to take control of the situation, while those with lower blood status fought to get out of the exit portals. And the soldiers struggled to parse the situation. A few noticed me standing in front of the fading Tempest Warp portal, but they had their hands full with the crowd. Then Dragoth himself appeared, his bulk and bullish horns making him look like a giant against the swarm of Alacrians. His eyes found mine immediately. He took a few aggressive steps forward, then drew up short. Oh shit! So Dragoth just pulling up, like just sizing him up a little bit. His eyes found mine immediately. Okay, he drew up short. Even from across the zone, I could sense his fear. Good, I thought, hoping that fear was enough to ensure these people would be okay. Feeling the portal breaking up now that its connection with the Tempest Warp had been severed, I stepped backwards through it. Everything changed. The transition was smooth, not instant, but very nearly seamless. The false light of the blue relative sky was replaced with true sunlight. Instead of the stifling atmosphere of the courtyard, I drew in a long full of fresh air, and a cool breeze kissed my skin. Turning, I tried to get my bearings. We had appeared in a broad, grassy patch of land between the Beast Glades and one of the Alacrian settlements on the outskirts of the Elenwar Waste. I searched the hundreds of million people for my sister, Kara, or Ceres, but didn't immediately see any of them. Standing right beside me, though, were Chul and Sylvie. I met my bond's eye. "Have you seen Elle?" Sylvie's face was pale. "Huh?" Sweat shining on her forehead. Her eyes were glazed over, staring sightlessly into the void. "What the fuck is going on?" Frowning, I reached for her, taking hold of her arm as my mind probed hers. Did the portal not take everybody to the same place? Frowning, I reached for her, taking hold of her arm as my mind probed hers. The strength left me, and I felt my legs give out. I didn't even have time to wonder what had happened before my mind was being pulled away from my body, drawn along in the wake of whatever thought had stricken Sylvie. Light and color flashed past on all sides. Indistinct images appeared. Indistinct images appearing and vanishing. Again, too quickly to make sense of. Although I couldn't see her, I could feel Sylvie just ahead of me. The world had melted away, and we were alone, just the two of us, speeding like an arrow through this tunnel of lights. Okay? I tried to speak, but I had no voice. I tried to connect with her mind, but I couldn't reach hers. What's happening? I wanted to shout. Where are we going? As soon as I asked the question, I knew. We sped into a pool of rolling color, skating along a thin stream of silver light and into a blur of color and motion. The world coalesced back into a recognizable form around us. I reeled, taking a moment to get my bearings, but the scene was familiar. A conference room. The one where I had last seen and spoken with the Gladers, but it seemed quite different now. Huh. So, did he go, like, back in time? Yeah, I know time is like an arrow, right? A conference room where I had last seen and spoken with the Gladers, but it would look quite different now. So maybe it's that same conference room, but in the past. He's about to speak to one of the Jinn? A long table had been removed to make room for an opulent throne, on which sat a dragon in the form of a man with long silver hair, deep plum-colored eyes. I didn't recognize this dragon, but the name, is that Charon? Charon came to me from a distant memory. The leader of Kez's forces in Daikathan. Wait. The leader of Kez's forces in... That wasn't his name, was it? The one that he said that, you're not strong enough to beat me or whatever, or do you want to find out? The leader of Kez's forces in Daikathan. Two other dragons, both also in a humanoid form, flanked Charon, who was gazing down at a dozen humans, all of whom sat on their knees. I don't know what the hell's going on. I guess I gotta just read, man. All of whom sat on their knees on the ground like children. Kathleen and Curtis were there as well. Okay. And many of their advisors. Words were being exchanged, but the vision sounded as if it were underwater and a very long way away. So maybe this is part of Sylvie's ether abilities, right? Because she can control time. So maybe she's showing him what happened while he's been gone, and how that dragon, the leader of Kez's forces in Daikathan, had some meeting and something happened. She's trying to show Arthur. But how the hell does she know? How would Sylvie even know? Unless somebody else maybe could be showing Sylvie that who witnessed it or something. I don't know. So I couldn't make out anything. Suddenly something shifted, like a dark cloud that floated over the scene. 5 figures melted out of the shadows, blades and spells in their hands. There was no conversation, no hesitation. Even as they sat on Charon, 5 more appeared around the 2 dragon guards, cutting them off. The vision blurred, wobbling dangerously, the details difficult to follow. When it steadied, the back wall of the chamber had been destroyed. 2 wraiths lay dead. So the wraiths came? 2 wraiths lay dead, as did a dragon. In the cacophonous, I think that's how you say that word.
Cacophonous.
Yeah, I said it right. Rubble of the battle bubbled out of the dust and rubble that blocked my view beyond the room. Sharon himself was still shrouded by the other 5 wraiths. They were working together in a fluid symphony. Yeah, I think I said that. Of violence. Sharon raged in near silence, and his body swelled into the form of a horrible, war-scarred silver dragon, his massive claws and tails stomping and crushing. I could do nothing as I watched Kathleen vanish beneath a clawed hand beside her. Curtis was hurled aside. Did this happen? Golden light suffused his body, but it twinkled and faded when a black blade passed effortlessly through him. Blood spraying from a bisecting cut, severing him hip to shoulder. There's no way. So wait, is this real? So they sent the race there and interrupt the meeting, and 2 of the wraiths were dead. A dragon was dead. Curtis is dead. And Kathleen just disappeared. Horrified, I watched frozen outside of the space and time. Unsure what I was seeing or how I was seeing it, unable to react, no body or magic of my own. Sharon's transformation had toppled the ceiling, burying most of the humans beneath a mountain of rubble. Disregarding any potential survivors, the dragon leapt up, desperately ripping his way free of the palace, taking to the air. Wheeling, he breathed death back down on everyone below, killing more Dicathians than the race had in his attempt to defend his own life. Man, these fucking dragons, yo. The scene shattered like a painted vase, the pieces spiraling away in every direction before melting away in the tunnel of color and light once again. My eyes snapped open. I was staring up into the face of Chul, who was leaning over and looking confused, or looking concerned. Regis was beside him and Ellie beside Regis. Movement under my hand made me look to my right. I was lying on the ground. Sylvie next to me, my hand still clasping around her arm. "Arthur!" Ellie gasped, falling to her knees and leaning into me to wrap her arms around my neck. "Are you okay? What happened?" Through her hair, I was still watching Sylvie, who slowly turned to meet my eye. "A vision?" I asked, my thoughts sluggish. Her eyes fluttered shut. "Of the future," she sent back ominously. The future? She can see the future now? Whoa. Okay. Okay. That's crazy. So, did Agrona send the Wraiths there to deal with the leader of the dragons because he wanted to kill the dragons? And then everybody else died from like collateral damage, I guess, in a sense? That's wild, man. That's wild. That's crazy. So let me think about this. So they were having some type of meeting. Curtis, Kathleen, some other mages, some other dragons, and Sharon. I could have sworn his name was like Vekajor or some shit like that. I didn't know his name was Sharon or some shit. Or Charon. So the Wraiths showed up. I mean, we know the Wraiths were strong because they killed dragons before. And so 2 of them ended up dead in the vision. One of the dragons ended up dead. And then you got this motherfucking bitch-ass dragon killing more people trying to save his own life. But how did Sylvie... When does it happen, though? Like, soon? Maybe, like, really soon? Maybe they need to get the fuck to Vildorio, like, right away? I didn't expect that at all. So, yo, these Wraiths are deadly. Yeah, we knew the Wraiths were strong. We knew for sure they were strong. What before? When? What do you mean, Lebo? When Arthur fought the Wraiths in that the tunnel in Vildorio. When he fought him, what did he do? He got like visions of the Wraiths when he like absorbed. What did he do? When he cut off the horns or some shit, but he got like visions of the Wraiths and he was able to see like, you know, the dragons that they killed before, from just like some visions and some shit. I forget exactly how he got the visions, but he got like images, some visions of some dragons that the Wraiths that he killed. There were some of the ones that they killed. So so we know that they're strong and they've killed dragons and shit. But I guess my thing I'm most curious about is, wait, what before when you said the dragons killed? No, not the. Oh, maybe I misspoke. I ain't saying the dragons killed dragons. I'm talking about the Wraiths. The Wraiths killed dragons. The Wraiths killed dragons before. That's what I was saying. I don't know if I misspoke and said dragons, but I guess my thought is I'm wondering, when is this going to happen? It was from the Veto members. I don't know what Veto is. But if you remember back when he was fighting the Wraiths, he got like visions of some dragons and shit. And you know, he was able to, because remember, he was able to recall the names of everybody. Remember, he like didn't know their names at first, and then he was able to recall the names of the people that he was about to fight. So he got some visions, some shit. I don't forget exactly how he got it, but I know he got visions and shit of some other dragon's body that they killed or whatever the fuck. But yeah, so I'm wondering when this vision actually is going to happen. Like, is it going to be soon? Like, they're about to start this meeting, like, in the next, like, 10 minutes, and we need to hurry up and get there right now? Arthur, he's not at full power yet because he emptied his core, and I don't think he went to the relic tombs to get any other ether, so he shouldn't, I don't think his core is full. So, man, if Curtis and Kathleen die, that's gonna suck, man. That is gonna suck. Oh yeah, was it Regis? I think it might have been Regis's memories. Yeah, it might have been Regis. I think you're right. Michael. I think it was Regis's memories. Yeah, if Kathleen and Curtis die, man, because they're like the 2 strongest with the most potential mages that Kathleen even has, and they get killed, yo. I mean, I don't know. This is crazy. Now I'm wondering what the fuck is going to happen next chapter, man. They got me hyped for next chapter. Man, this is wild. It got dark as shit quick. It's only been an hour and a half. It got super dark. So what do y'all think is going to happen? What do y'all think is going to happen next, man? Because I don't know. Because I'm wondering, how the fuck did Sylvie get this vision all of a sudden? Like when did she start getting visions of the future? And then, like, how did she get a vision of something that was going to happen without actually being there? But then I guess, you know, fucking maybe her spirit kind of went there. I don't fucking know. But I'm curious to know what y'all think is going to happen next, because I don't want Kathleen and Curtis to die, man. Like, everybody strong is already dead, you know? Rennie is dead. Tessie is gone. Fucking got her body taken over and shit. fuck is his name? Virian's like mentally fucked up still. You know, he's still not at full strength. We know we got the Lances. You know, so where the fuck are the Lances when this is happening? Because they should be a little bit stronger now. Right? Micah, Viray, and Byron, where the fuck are they? Man. It seems like things are kind of ramping up as far as like Kez's and what's going on with Agrona and his plan to invade Ephiodus, and you know Ceres's plans to try to get Kez's to help out with the dragon. It seems like things are ramping up, man. So basically, Arthur needs to get his ass over there quick, ASAP. Like God step his ass there super quick. That's wild. He's probably going to transfer it there. I think the same. His core is not yet full yet. Yeah, it's not full because he hasn't had any time to get any ether. I know, man. If Aldir was still alive, they would have some sort of protection. But then again, if Aldir was still alive, then Kez's wouldn't have made the deal with Arthur in the first place. But I mean, listen, Aldir should have never have gone up like that. I thought that was weak. I thought that was cowardly. I thought that Arthur should have been more forceful about, no, motherfucker, you're not about to stay here and die. No, you are responsible for killing millions of people, and you know how you can atone? Don't just give Sylvie your mana or whatever the fuck. Don't just stay in the ether world and just, you know, shrivel up and die. Spend the rest of your life to try to save as many lives as possible. Like, that's what you gotta do. Even if you don't want to kill anymore, you can still save lives just by protecting them from people who are trying to kill them. You know, it's like, that shit was weak. That shit was super weak. He's about to get another power up. Who's about to get another power up? You think Arthur's about to get another power up? I don't think he's about to get another power up. I mean, I don't really see how, because he still needs to learn more about the cuboid, the cube relic or whatever. He still needs to learn about that, and then he still needs to find the third keystone. So I don't see him getting another power up or anything. But yeah, let me know whatever else you think about the chapter, because I'm gonna get up out of here pretty soon. But I don't know, man. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, what would be the purpose of doing this shit? Like, okay, I get you want to get rid of the dragon that's in charge, but and then if he sent wraiths there, what else could he be doing with some more wraiths to like attack some other shit? You know, like, man, this is wild. And then Sylvie seeing the future, like, that shit came out of nowhere. That's wild, man. That's wild. But this is a dope chapter. This is a really good chapter. I really like this chapter. I like that we got like some more understanding and connection between Ceres and Arthur. You know, the people made a decision. They're finally leaving their relic tombs, second level. So I think that's good that they finally got up out of there. What else happened in this chapter? That's really about it. Arthur and Ceres, and then Regis got out of the tank, and they left and went to the Eleanor Wasteland area, whatever the fuck. We don't know what's gonna happen with the rest of the people who stayed with Dragoth. And then we get this fucking vision of the future of Curtis and Kathleen dying. That's pretty wild. That new Phoenix weapon new weapons might assist. What Phoenix new weapons? Oh, I know you're talking about the weapons that Ren is working on with Gideon. I mean, we don't know how far they got, but I mean, if we look at the vision of the future, then I think this is happening soon, like very, very soon, like within the next like half hour, 10 minutes to half an hour. I think this is happening like really quick, where like Arthur has to rush there to try to save everybody. So I don't think that this is going to be like this might happen like days down the line. No, I think this is happening like within the next hour. So that's what I think, but I don't know. But yeah, but that's all I got for this chapter, man. But I appreciate y'all joining in. I appreciate the likes. Got a couple likes up in here. You know, the likes definitely help out the channel and getting it more recommended in the whole YouTube algorithm shit. So appreciate that. And yeah, this chapter was cool. I give this chapter probably like an 8 out of 10. You know, I thought this chapter was cool. I thought it was chill. And I don't know. I haven't read the comic in a minute. Maybe I might check out the comic, see what the hell the comic's doing. Cause I haven't read the comic at all. But anyway, appreciate you guys joining in. I'm gonna get up out of here. Y'all have a good night. Peace.